Europe has rejected President Trump's strong warnings on unchecked immigration. But leaders across the continent are hearing increasing complaints from angry voters about open borders and illicit migration. My name is Joseph Hammond, foreign correspondent for the Washington Times, and this is my Q&A on the state of Europe's immigration debate. Well, certainly across the continent, there is a lot of concern about illicit migration, and I think that is playing out in a number of policies that have been enacted. Recently, we've seen two areas of concern. One is areas where governments are trying to put forward policies which allow them to deport asylum seekers, to deal with illegal migrants by having them processed in a third country, or to send them back to where they came from. For example, you have the one in, one out deal between France and the United Kingdom, which allows the United Kingdom to deal with some of the immigration flows we're seeing of people attempting to cross the English Channel in small dinghies. And we also have, similarly in Italy, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's deal with Albania, where Albania will process tens of thousands of illegal migrants on behalf of the Italian government, serve as a staging area for that processing to take place. The other area where there's a lot of policy, debate and movement is tightening standards that allow naturalization and allow migrants to become full citizens of the European countries that they settle in. We've seen that in Denmark in recent months, and we see that, in another country like France, where there is tightening of the path to citizenship and increased language requirements as well too. What I think is interesting now is that there's increasingly concern that illegal migration is a national security issue in Europe. What's interesting also is there's not only concern about migrants coming to a country in Europe and potentially fostering or harboring, terrorist groups. There's also concern that Russia is weaponizing migration to Europe as well. And you have seen migrants arriving into Europe cross the eastern borders, whether that's in Belarus or along the border between the European Union and Russia directly, and that this is an effort for Russia to destabilize Europe. In fact, European Commissioner Magnus Brunner has warned this summer that Russia is weaponizing migration as part of a policy to destabilize Europe. So increasingly, the issues of immigration and national security are linked in the eyes of many policymakers and voters in Europe. This issue right now is very important, and there's been an important poll released from YouGov that shows broad concern about migration in key Western European democracies. In Denmark, 55% of respondents agreed that immigration levels were too high. More than 70% of respondents in Sweden, Italy, and Britain agreed with that statement. The strongest scores were in Germany with 81% and Spain with 80%. And this just shows how important this issue is for voters right now. On the one hand, there are traditional left-wing parties that have taken a traditional response and saying that, hey, immigration is important, that a lot of these, concerns and voices that are anti-immigration are racist. And then there are also left-wing parties, I think, that are responding to this concern legitimately and are looking at the fact that immigration to Europe is not something that can go completely unchecked. A great example of this is Denmark, where the government has put forward new standards regarding the path to citizenship. New Danish citizens must support democratic values. And Denmark, which is ruled right now a coalition led by the Social Democrats, have really put this kind of interestingly in sort of traditional leftist terminology around social inclusiveness and creating a better society. So I think that is one example of how left-wing parties are trying to respond to the immigration challenge, and are actually putting forward their own policies to deal with illegal migration. In the United Kingdom right now, immigration is perhaps the most important issue for many voters. And that's why the Reform Party, which has the most hawkish views on immigration, is currently leading in the polls. In the United Kingdom right now, you've seen everything from small-scale protests in front of hotels where asylum seekers are being processed, to the massive rally with 150,000 people in central London that tech billionaire Elon Musk also spoke to. This shows immigration is motivating a large portion of the electorate right now, and I think that will continue. There is daily numbers being posted by the government showing how many dinghies with how many migrants are crossing the English Channel and arriving in the UK, and obviously the government is trying to get that number to zero. You've had the one in, one out policy agreed this summer between France and the United Kingdom. Interestingly, French President Emmanuel Macron said that the fact that this illegal migration to the United Kingdom across the English Channel continues is a failure of Brexit. Obviously, most British voters don't see it that way, but this will continue to be very much a motivating issue for much of the electorate for the near future. For the Washington Times, I'm Joseph Hammond. Thank you for watching.